All right, critical thinking versus critical thinking. Exactly. That's what we need to think about. We need more critical thinking and less critical thinking. Because too many people, it seems, look at what's out there and how people do this stuff, critical thinking. The focus is more on the criticism, attacking, instead of on the thinking. Critical thinking should not be about jumping on someone else, as it seems to be too much, and attacking them. It should be about thinking, which we, I should say, have most access to on our own. Critical thinking should be about taking care of our own thinking and getting it well, more than it should be about attacking someone else. Attacking someone else is not critical thinking, it's attacking. That's fake critical thinking, that's a pretense, that's a misnomer, that's calling something better than what it really is, whatever that word is right now, I forgot. But, if people really learn critical thinking, then they would go around saying something and saying, oh, wait, I didn't have this example. Why didn't I think of this? Do they ever do that? No, they're always pointing some finger at someone else, attacking them, being negative, trying to tear them down, show they're better, using this critical thinking as a tool of social abuse, not of improving things. That's a major failure in the part of some people in practicing, and teaching critical thinking. To some extent, it's like some accidental thing, because it seems like when people do some critical thinking, quote unquote, or logic, they're looking at what someone else did. And so there's this context by accident and by default of focusing on other people and attacking errors. That's one thing people should really consider. Educators, teachers, people who do critical thinking, we should demand of ourselves that we get the focus on getting people to improve their own thinking and on looking for good things. Like, what are the good things of an argument, and can someone point out that, instead of getting some little thing out of nowhere and jumping up like someone's super all excited and saying, you're wrong. That's wrong, because that shows a failure to engage in critical thinking. What if, because that someone's not engaging in critical thinking shows because do they ever stop and ask, what if the person just misspoke? What if they just made a mistake? What if they forgot? So treating them as if they're wrong and they should be attacked and they made a logical mistake is wrong. It shows a failure of critical thinking if one doesn't consider things like that first, or if one doesn't consider if we misunderstood them. Maybe what the person said was right, and we happen to be wrong, and if we jump on them because we disagree or something, we're the ones that are wrong, and we're the ones that are spreading bad things in ourselves, in society, and those we know, not the other person. So critical thinking should be looking in the mirror more. Like the great American philosopher Michael Jackson says, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look in the mirror and make the change. Agreed. So critical thinking, as I say, should be more about thinking and how it's done. And if someone really did critical thinking, as I was saying, then when they see a good argument, they would say, that is a good argument. Thank you for doing that. That was so logical and beautiful. Or if someone did make a mistake, you look at the whole picture, because thinking cannot be taken apart from all knowledge. We can't take one little idea or sentence out of context, strip it and kill it of all life, look at it on its own without a context. So one would say, if one really did critical thinking, excellent argument overall. I like this point and this point and this point, but did you consider this example here? Do you know that? Did you just not want to say it in this context because you don't have time, or what? What's going on? That is being critical of thinking and knowing how thinking works. And that's one thing we need to do. How does thinking work? Critical thinking depends on, to do it correctly, we must know about context in the bigger picture and how one thing relates to others. And how in communication, it's obviously, can we say everything all at once? No. We have to say one thing at a time. And so we should know that if someone's talking, there could be other things that they know. And so we should ask them about that to see what else is going on. So maybe they didn't engage in this like failure of critical thinking as we think. Sometimes people do, but we should try to help more than attack. And that's another part of critical thinking. Do people think when they engage in some of this, what is the moral character of that person, and do I know it? And so should I just jump on them and attack them? Or, And another thing that shows they're not engaging in good critical thinking, and we need to like work on as educators and teachers helping people do that. Or if we're a person in general, not a teacher, does this, we need to make this a better culture, make ourselves better. We need to think, what kind of a world am I creating if I attack someone right away when they make a mistake? Do I want people doing that to me? Would that be a nice place to live, where we're jumping all over each other and attacking each other when someone makes a mistake? Or we think there's a logical error? Or should we pause and consider more what's going on? I know it's an ancient human tradition to like kind of jump on people and like make stuff up out of nowhere, but it's not one that I would like to move forward. I know maybe in the past I did some of that. Unfortunately, sorry to those who had to deal with that. But, live and learn. We get better. We learn. We have to have the discipline to separate ourselves from some of the bad things that have molded us as we were growing up, unfortunately, kind of out of our control, just things we were doing, and we're growing up, we're making decisions, we're living, there's influences on us we're kind of not aware of. We got to like become aware of those, discipline ourselves, steel our soul and make ourselves good. STEEL, not STEAL. We need to steel or harden our soul for goodness and not like commit a theft against ourselves. But that's some things we need to do. Work on having critical thinking, focus on our own thinking. If you want to engage in critical thinking, you and I and everybody, we need to learn more logic and practice it and turn it on our own thinking. Again, as I say, if people cared more about critical thinking, they would be attacking themselves or assessing their own thinking to other people a lot more and criticizing the self more and not criticizing other people as much. Or doing both, but if we're criticizing, it'd be the positive and negative, and not a negative sense of criticism. We need more positive criticism, helpful building up criticism. That's a good argument, but you miss this point. It seems like it. Did you consider this? Remember, ask questions to figure out. Some people, they take their doubt as a metaphysical fact. It is not. Doubt is in us. Finding out puts us in touch with reality. We need to not doubt. We need to find out. Then we know. And we find out by inquiring of ourselves, of other people, of the world. Then we know, not jumping to conclusions. So let's please make ourselves better, make the world better, make a society that we want by getting critical thinking and not critical thinking. Let's focus on the thinking, not the criticism. Peace.